The stars had not known peace for a long time, across galaxies. One name brought terror even to the ancient gods, the Zycran Empire. They were not just conquerors. They were god-hunters. For hundreds of years, they searched for powerful beings, creatures worshipped by entire planets. Titans, giants, energy-based life forms, no matter how strong, no matter how fast, they all fell before Zycran science and war machines. They didn't fight to survive. They fought to prove no one was stronger than them, on the edge of the uncharted. Spiral Arm, a strange blue planet, appeared on their scanners. The last signal from a dying god had come from there. The god's last words were simple: "She is still here. I was wrong to run." Zycran Admiral Tazek stood on the bridge of the warship Devourer's Edge. His cold red eyes stared at the rotating Earth on the screen. No ships, no space stations, no defenses. "This is easy," he said, his voice sharp like broken glass. His second-in-command, Goran, stepped forward. "Sir, sensors show strange energy. Not weapons, but something unknown." Tazek waved him off. "Every dying god says the same thing. Some ancient force, some final fear. And every time we crush it." He turned to his fleet. "Prepare to descend. Earth will be our last hunt. After this, the galaxy will know. We are the only gods now." 12. Ships entered Earth's orbit. The skies above Asia, Africa, and the Americas lit up with golden shadows. But Earth did not respond. No missiles, no calls, no warning, only silence. On the surface, cities stood empty. Roads were cracked. Skyscrapers leaned like broken bones. No humans, no animals. Not even birds in the sky. Tazek growled. "Did someone get here before us?" "No, sir," Goran replied. "Signs show human civilization ended recently. Radiation in some areas, like they destroyed themselves." Tazek laughed. "Then there's nothing left to fight." But then, something strange happened. One of the drones flying over a ruined city froze. Its video feed showed a long street. Smoke rose from the distance. Everything was dead. Except one person. A human. A woman. She walked barefoot over sharp glass. Her clothes were torn and covered in dust. Her skin was pale, but not burned. Her eyes were calm. She looked up at the drone. Just a glance. The feed cut out. The drone fell. From the sky. Did she shoot it down? Goran asked, checking the logs. Tazek frowned. No weapons detected. No energy spike. The drone just shut off. They sent 2 more. Both stopped working the moment she looked up. Do you think she's the last one? Goran whispered. Tazek didn't answer. He stared at her image. Frozen on the screen. No god, he finally said, ever looked that calm when we arrived. A squad of Zycran soldiers was sent to the surface. Elite warriors in full black armor. Their bodies enhanced, their minds trained to resist fear. Their commander, Relna, was the best tracker in the Empire. She landed her team near the woman's last known location. The camera feed showed them moving through ruined streets. Relna's voice came over the comms. No signs of ambush. Nothing moves here, just silence. Then she paused. She's here. The camera turned. The woman stood at the end of the road. She didn't run. She didn't speak. She just stood still. Relna gave the command. Surround her. The team moved in. 10 soldiers, fully armed. They circled her, weapons aimed. Relna stepped forward. You are under the control of the Zycran Empire. Surrender. Speak your name. The woman said nothing. Relna shouted again. Identify yourself. Still silence. One soldier stepped closer. She's not responding. Maybe she's mute. Then he screamed. He dropped to his knees, clutching his helmet. His voice turned into a horrible screech, and then he stopped moving. Dead. Not turned in horror. Retreat! Everyone fall back! But it was too late. 2 more fell. Their suits showed no damage. No blood, just stopped like a switch had turned off inside them. Relna ran. Her camera showed her sprinting through alleys, gasping. "She's not human," she cried. She looked at me. Just looked at me and my heart is. The screen went black. On the ship, no one spoke. For the first time in years. Tazik felt fear. He turned to Goran. "What did we just find?" Goran whispered. She didn't move, didn't attack. But 4 trained killers dropped around her. Tazik growled. "Send more. Send the crawler bots. Scan her, burn everything. If you must, I want her power." Dozens of machines swarmed Earth's surface. Crawlers, floaters, airbursts. Every kind of sensor and scanner. But one by one, they shut off. Not destroyed, just off. The engineers on the ship panicked. It's like something's canceling their energy, not hacking, just erasing. Then the main ship's lights flickered. For 2 seconds, everything went black. When the lights came back, one crew member was dead. His face frozen in terror. No wounds, no signs of struggle. He had been standing by a screen showing her face. "Take that image down." Tazik roared. The crew removed every photo, every video. Baven stopped saying her name. Some feared the sound itself would bring death. One scientist, brave or foolish, ran tests. He said, "She doesn't use energy. She doesn't have weapons. She's not even changing the environment." Tazik snapped. "Then how is she killing us?" The scientist whispered, "She's not killing. She's making them stop living. There's a difference." By now, 5 ships had gone dark, crews silent. No response. Tazik ordered full retreat. But Earth's orbit began to shift. Not the planet, the ships. Gravity twisted around them. But no force field was detected. The fleet began drifting. Toward her. Tazik looked down at the planet. He saw her again, walking toward the sea. The waves pulled back like the ocean feared her. And in that moment, he understood. She wasn't using power. She was power. He sent one final message to the Empire's core. "Do not come to Earth. We hunted gods. But here, we found something worse. She does not fight us. She lets us die. And I think she was waiting for us." Then he cut off the transmission. And the Devourer's Edge, the greatest warship of the Zikran Empire, slowly drifted out of control. Down toward the ocean, below. From space, Earth looked peaceful. But deep below the clouds, by the shoreline, a human woman stood alone. She looked up once more. No anger, no fear. Just silence. The Zikran Empire had never failed to crush a target. But after the Earth mission, everything changed. 12 warships had entered orbit. Only 5 returned. Of those 5, 2 arrived empty. The others had silent. Crews alive but broken. Eyes wide, hearts beating slow, and minds empty. They sat still, no talking, no movement. Just breathing. Doctors tried everything. Scanners, shock therapy, even memory probes. Nothing worked. Then one soldier finally whispered one word, "Mira." No records existed of her. Earth's data was a mess. The cities had been dead for months. Satellites showed no survivors. But when the word Mira came up again and again in scrambled messages and terrified logs, one thing became clear. She was real. And she was still there. Far from the Empire's heart, in a quiet star system, a group of Zikran scientists met in secret. They called themselves the Logic Circle. They had one mission: understand the force known as Mira. No weapons. No warships. Only observation. Dr. Violin, the leader, sat in front of a cracked holoscreen. It played the last recovered footage from Earth. A woman walking calmly through fire. Buildings collapsed beside her. Storms formed above her. But she didn't look up. She didn't run. She walked through a nuclear zone. Barefoot. No protection. No pain. Velen's assistant spoke, voice shaking. Sir, we scanned her body. She's human. Fully. Velen's fingers froze. That's not possible. No human survives 5,000 Röntgen of radiation. No one stands in that much gravitational. Twist. She did, the assistant whispered So. They watched They sent small cloaked probes from deep orbit. Nothing close enough to be noticed. This time, no weapons. Just eyes. The woman, Mira, lived alone near a beach. The land around her was quiet. No birds, no trees. Not even insects. It was as if life refused to grow near her, but she didn't seem to notice. Or care. She would walk along the shore, sit for hours, staring at the water. Sometimes she drew patterns in the sand with her fingers. One day, she picked up a metal shard, a broken drone piece. She turned it over in her hand, and it turned to dust. She didn't throw it. She didn't squeeze it. It just broke. Another day, she sat by the ocean. A huge wave formed in the distance, 10 meters high. Heading toward her, she didn't move, and the wave just stopped, mid-air, frozen for a second. Then fell harmlessly. The observers watched, breathless. Velen wrote in his report, "She does not control nature. Nature obeys her before she asks." One night, Mira stood and looked at the stars. Her face didn't change, but the sensors picked up a strange signal coming from her. Not a message. Not a transmission. It was gravitational vibration. Space itself bent around her body. For 2 seconds. All nearby systems experienced slight time loss. Hours vanished. And then, everything went back to normal. Except one scientist screamed. He remembered his wife dying. He remembered war. He remembered aging 30 years in a blink. And then he passed out. When he woke up, he was only 28 again. But his mind was broken. The Logic Circle had seen enough. They sent one final question to the Zychron High Council. Do we study her, or do we run? The answer came in one word: observe. But the choice would not remain theirs for long. On Earth, Mira finally moved. Inland. She entered a city once called Tokyo. It was silent. Empty, except for one sound. A faint cry. She walked slowly into a collapsed building. Dust fell from the ceiling. Metal groaned. And under a broken stair, a child cried. The observers panicked. There's another survivor? Impossible. We scanned every square. Did she protect him? Or did he just survive? The boy looked up at Myra. He was no older than 5. Thin, hungry, scared, but alive. Mira reached out. Her fingers brushed his face. He stopped crying. His heart rate returned to normal. His fear dropped instantly. Then he smiled. She smiled back. Back in orbit, Dr. Velen trembled. This changes everything. Another scientist whispered, "She cares." She saved him. Velen nodded slowly. So she is still human. But not everyone agreed. A Zychron commander, hidden deep inside a shadow fleet, saw the footage. He slammed his fist on the console. This is our chance. If she protects that boy, we use him. Trap her. His fleet, the Black Flame Legion, was known for breaking rules. They moved toward Earth. Without permission, Valen tried to stop them. She is not a weapon, she is a force. You cannot cage gravity. But the commander didn't listen. He launched the plan. In the ruined city, Mira walked with the boy. Slowly, carefully, she gave him food. Pulled from nowhere. She helped him drink from a cracked pipe. The water, once poisoned, became clear as she touched it. Then, a black ship appeared in the sky. It hovered, silent, no lights, no sounds. Inside, snipers locked on target. The boy, Velan, screamed through the comms, "Stop, do not attack." But the Black Flame commander gave the order. A dart flew fast, silent, poisoned. It never reached the child. Mira didn't move. She looked at it. Mid-air, it melted, then turned into light. Then, nothing. No heat, no explosion. Just erased from reality. The sniper screamed. His gun turned to ash then. He turned to stone. Inside the ship, alarms exploded. One crew member gasped, "Our engines are reversing. Time is flowing backward." Another shouted, "What did she do?" The commander ordered retreat. Too late. Outside, Mira looked up. Her eyes glowed. Not bright, not angry, just glowing. Soft and slow, the black ship twisted in the sky, its hull aged 10,000 years in 10 seconds. It cracked, rusted, crumbled into pieces. Dust rained down on the ruins. The child held her hand. He didn't cry. She looked at him, whispered something that no one heard the words. But the observers felt it, a vibration across systems, a deep sound, under their thoughts, like a mother protecting a child, and the galaxy shivered. Dr. Velen closed his report with shaking hands. She's not alone anymore. She has someone to protect. And if she was dangerous before, now she is unstoppable. The Zycran Empire had never known fear. They were the strongest race in the galaxy. They had burned star cities, cracked open planets, and even killed gods. But now, they whispered in dark rooms. They stared at blank screens. They refused to speak her name. Mira, the Black Flame Legion was gone. Not destroyed in battle, not blown apart, just aged to dust. Their ships had turned gray, the steel had cracked. Their bones became stone, and the wind carried their remains across the dead cities of Earth. All because they aimed a dart at a child Mira protected. Across the Empire, high-ranking officials gathered in secret meetings. They played her footage again and again. A woman walking. A woman not speaking. A woman who didn't kill with weapons. She didn't kill at all. Reality around her just broke. When she was angry, is she a god? Someone asked. No, said a scientist. Gods follow rules, she doesn't. Another whispered. Then what is she? Silence. Admiral Tazek, the one who first saw her, sat in the darkness of his ship. He no longer spoke to his crew. He stared at a small hologram, Mira holding the child's hand. The child looked at her like she was safety. But Tazek saw something else. She was a weapon wrapped in calm. She didn't strike. She didn't threaten. She just existed. And that was enough to make fleets fall apart. Meanwhile, Earth stayed quiet. No armies. No defenses, just Myra and the boy. They walked through forests that grew again after nuclear fire. She didn't speak, but birds came back when she passed. Flowers bloomed in her steps. The boy laughed when he saw a rabbit. He was the only one who smiled, because the watchers above, they were terrified. The Empire tried to erase the problem. They banned her name. They erased the Earth system from maps. They silenced any survivor who spoke of her. But fear spreads. Soon, whispers reached across the galaxy. They killed gods, but one human was worse. The Zycrans received a warning from someone they thought was already dead. A god being they once hunted long ago, trapped for 300 years. In a crystal prison, he sent only one message. You fools woke her up. You didn't find her. She let you see her. That shook the High Council. They called in all remaining scientists, war strategists, and ancient scholars. One old voice spoke from the shadows. A blind priest named Valkar. He had served the Empire since before they hunted gods. He told them a story lost in time, long before us. Before stars were born. There were beings that didn't follow time or matter. They didn't rule. They didn't fight. They simply were. They existed in silence. And from them, life learned fear. One of those beings stayed behind. She took form. She became human. We don't know why. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she waited. But you found her. And now the galaxy will pay. Some laughed. Others didn't, because they had seen the footage. A woman who stood still, and ships stopped working. A woman who blinked and machines rusted. Woman who held a child and destroyed time itself to protect him. But still, the Empire refused to. Give up. They prepared their ultimate team, the Gorgon Corps, a secret unit made from the genes of the strongest species ever killed. Half machine, half god, no fear, no nerves, no mercy. They had one goal: capture Mira alive, back on Earth. Mira and... The boy entered an old library. Book still stood on the shelves, dusty but untouched. The boy looked around. He picked up a book about stars and sat quietly beside her. Mira sat on the floor. Her eyes scanned the room slowly. She closed her eyes for a long time. In space, the Gorgon Corps landed. 12 beings, each taller than 3 men, covered in armor, made from black holes and compressed suns. They scanned for her. No sound, no heat, no energy. But then, they heard a page turning. The leader, Gorgon 01, walked through the broken doors. He saw her, a human woman sitting on the floor, a child sleeping beside her, and a book open. In her hand, he gave the command: engage. Non-lethal force. 3 Gorgons moved in. They pointed their gravity guns, but before they could fire, they froze. Literally. Their bodies locked in time. Their armor rusted in seconds. Their eyes turned white. Not dead, not alive. Just paused. Forever. The leader stepped back. Mental defense field, he said. She's reacting with emotion. Then Mira looked up. Her eyes met his. And in that moment, he felt everything. Every life he had taken. Every scream. Every soul crushed under his orders. He dropped to his knees. Tears fell from his black eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. Outside, the remaining Gorgons tried to run, but the ground shifted. Trees bent away, light twisted. And then, they forgot why they came. They forgot their names, their mission, even their bodies. They floated upward, turning into golden dust. Gone. The boy woke up. Myra looked down at him, smiled gently. He smiled back. They stood and walked outside into the sunlight. From orbit, the observers watched in silence. Velen, still watching from a distant lab, shook his head. He whispered to his assistant, "Do you see now? She doesn't punish, she doesn't fight. She just shows them who they really are. And that alone is enough to break even the strongest." Back on the Empire's central world, panic began. The High Council received one more message. It wasn't from Mira. It was from deep space. A distant race, never seen before, sent a warning. "We saw what happened to the God Killers. We saw her. Leave Earth alone, or none of you will exist long enough to regret it." The Empire had ruled for centuries, but now they were afraid to land on a dead planet. Not because of armies, not because of weapons, but because of one silent woman. And far below, on Earth, she sat on a mountain with the child. He pointed at the stars above. She looked up, quiet, and one star blinked. The Zycran Empire called their enemies by many names: beasts, gods, monsters. But they had no word for Mira, because how do you name something that doesn't follow the rules of life or death? After the failure of the Gorgon Corps, the Empire fell. Silent, their strongest warriors hadn't been destroyed. They hadn't been killed. They had simply stopped existing. Some turned to dust, some turned to stone, some just disappeared. No scream, no blast. Just silence. And that was worse than any war on Earth. Mira walked across a broken field. The boy walked beside her, holding her hand. Flowers grew in their footsteps, but only behind them. Never ahead. It was as if life waited for them to pass before daring to bloom. In a cold chamber far away, the last god the Zycrans had captured, named Velkir, opened his eyes. He had not spoken in 70 years, but now he whispered one word: balance. The scientists rushed to him. "What do you know about her?" they asked. He smiled. "You thought you were the top of the chain," Velkir said. "But chains break when touched by her." The Empire, scared but stubborn, needed answers. So they sent their most trusted tool, The mind probe ship, Eyes of Forever. It did not carry weapons. It carried knowledge. Its purpose was simple: read thoughts, collect truths, and return unseen. They sent it to Earth. Its scanners stayed high in orbit. Its system scanned Mira's mind from afar. At first, nothing. Then the ship began to shake. Its screens glitched. Its crew felt pressure, like hands were pressing down on their chests. And suddenly, the data poured in, but it wasn't what they expected. They saw her memories, not visions of war, not anger, not revenge. They saw her birth under an empty sky, a world where no one else lived. Not Earth, somewhere older. They saw her walking for the first time, not as a child, but as a fully grown woman. Alone. Forever alone. Then the visions changed. A voice inside the ship whispered, "You look for a name. You look for a weapon, but you never asked who she's mourning." The ship's crew collapsed, not from attack, from grief. One officer wept for 3 days. He didn't know why. He just felt endless sadness. Another tried to erase her face from the records. His hands turned black. He vanished. The ship left Earth's orbit immediately. It never returned. On Earth, Mira stood still beside a river. The boy threw stones into the water. Suddenly, Mira looked up. Far away, someone was watching. In a nearby system, a single Zycran scout ship sat cloaked in silence. Inside, Commander Lusk watched her from a hidden screen. He didn't send drones. He didn't speak. He just watched. And Mira turned her head, slowly, looking straight at him. Across space. No camera. No sensors. Just eye to eye. Lusk screamed. He felt her in his mind. Not words. Not pain. Just truth. She showed him what he had done. The planet he burned. The families he ended. The voice of a child begging for life. He fell to his knees. Begged to forget. Mira blinked. And he did. He forgot his name, his rank, even how to fly the ship. It drifted into the sun. Zycrans finally saw the pattern. She didn't touch anyone. She didn't speak. But those who came too close simply stopped being who they were. Not dead. Just erased. At this point, panic reached the outer colonies. Entire Zycran sectors shut themselves off. They banned any signal from Earth. They blocked all data. They declared the system cursed. But even that didn't stop the fear. One commander said, "She's not spreading outward." Another replied, "No, we're falling inward." The Empire had always moved forward. Now, it was shrinking. And yet, Mira didn't leave the planet. She didn't hunt anyone. She simply stayed, protecting the boy. One day, the boy grew sick. He coughed, shivered. His skin turned pale. He lay on the ground, breathing slow. Mira knelt beside him. She placed her hand on his chest. No light, no sound, just a still moment. And the sickness faded. His skin warmed. His eyes opened. He smiled again. She smiled back. But the moment was not unnoticed. Far above, a hidden machine captured the image, and the galaxy changed. Pirate lord on the edges of Zycran space. Cruther the Bone-Fanged saw the footage. He thought Mira was powerful because she had a source. He believed the boy was the key, not knowing she had saved the boy, not drawn power from him. Cruther formed a team of alien hunters, mercenaries, exiles, mad scientists. They called themselves the Chainbreakers. Their goal: capture the boy. Force Mira to obey. They landed fast, quiet. They knew tech failed near her, so they used primitive tools, ropes, nets, knives. They tracked Mira and the boy into a valley. At night, while the boy slept, they struck. One net fell over the boy. He screamed. Mira turned. She didn't shout. She didn't run. She simply stood up. And that was enough. The night stopped. Literally. The moon paused in the sky. The wind froze. Leaves hung mid-air. Time bent. The mercenaries screamed. But no sound came out. Mira stepped forward once. The nets unraveled, turned into birds. The ropes became flowers. The men's bodies turned to shadow and vanished. Gone. Only the leader, Krether, remained. His knees hit the ground. He dropped his blade. Mira looked at him. And he spoke, voice shaking. I don't want to die. Mira's head tilted slightly. She stepped closer. No, Krether begged. Please, not death. Anything but. He didn't finish, because he forgot how to speak. His mouth opened, but no sound came. He forgot what fear was, then what words were, then what he was, and then nothing. Back in the Empire, another report arrived. This one was different. No camera feed, no logs. Just one sentence. Death is kindness. What she gives is deeper. And so, they stopped sending teams. They stopped watching. They stopped whispering. They just hoped she wouldn't remember them. Because now, they understood the truth. She did not touch. She did not kill. But still, they died. And on Earth, as stars burned above, Mira sat beside the boy once more. He leaned on her shoulder and asked softly, "Why are you alone?" Mira didn't answer. She looked up at the sky, and one by one, 3 distant stars went dark. The Zykran Empire was built on memory. Every war, every god they crushed, every planet they conquered. It was all saved inside a giant artificial brain, the core of forever. It recorded history, strategy, mistakes, and victories. It never forgot. Until now. On the 9th moon of the Zykran homeworld, the memory core blinked. Just once. Then, lines of data began vanishing. Battle logs turned blank. Names of war heroes disappeared. Entire planets were forgotten from maps. Technicians panicked. Is it hacked? Is this a virus? Is it sabotage? They ran system checks. All came back clean. No signs of breach. No foreign code. And yet, their history was dying. One scientist screamed, "This can't be random. Something is erasing us." The head technician pulled up the backup feed. He searched for the Earth mission log. Nothing appeared. He checked the Gorgon core files. Gone. Then he typed a single word, Mira. The screen turned black, and a soft whisper came from the speakers. "If you didn't learn, you don't deserve to remember." Across the Empire, strange things happened. One general forgot how to command ships. A warlord forgot his homeworld. A planet named Varintha, once full of cities, now had no name at all. Even the Empire's soldiers forgot why they were fighting. They stood confused in their ships. Weapons dropped. Eyes blank. The Emperor himself, a creature with 7 hearts and a voice like thunder, stormed into the core chamber. He demanded answers. The scientists shook with fear. One stepped forward and said, "It's her, Myra. Not killing us. She's unwriting us." The Emperor roared, "She is just one human." The core suddenly spoke, a voice deeper than machines. "She is not part of your story. She is the end of it." Then all the screens in the chamber went black. On Earth, Mira sat under a broken bridge. The boy rested beside her, drawing shapes in the dust. He laughed softly. She smiled, but her eyes were far away. The boy asked, "Where did the stars go last?" "Night?" Mira looked at the sky. And then said her first word in days, "Nowhere." At that exact moment, 3 systems across the galaxy, Alrun, Kether, and Zik-4, lost power. Not their ships. Not their stations. The stars above them stopped glowing. Astronomers screamed. "We didn't see explosions. There were no black holes. The light just vanished." In a research station on the edge of Zykran space, a small AI assistant named J77 asked its creator a simple question. "Why are stars dying when she is silent?" The scientist whispered, "Because silence is her voice." Back on Earth, Mira. And the boy walked into a giant cave. Inside were old machines. Human built, rusted. This was once a shelter. Now, Only dust. She placed her hand on a broken console. It lit up. Power flowed. Not electricity. Something deeper. And the screen showed stars, but not as we see them. It showed threads, connections, each star tied to a memory, each thread tied to a race. And some threads had been cut. The boy looked up at her. Are you fixing things? Mira didn't answer. She reached out and touched one glowing thread. A small sun far away flickered back to life, but then a warning appeared. A ship had entered orbit. It wasn't ZYK-RAN. It was something else. Far above, the Vorth Syndicate, a scavenger race, had heard rumors of a living god on Earth. They didn't want to fight her. They wanted to steal her, for profit, for worship, for control. The Vorth ship didn't land. It dropped a gravity chain. From it, hundreds of memory locks fell, machines built to trap thoughts, not bodies. They believed Mira would fall if her memories were frozen. They were wrong. One memory lock landed near the cave. It began spinning, pulling air, light, sound, and thoughts. The boy gasped. He saw images flash in front of him. Mira walking alone. Mira sitting under stars before Earth existed. Mira holding the body of another child, one who never moved. Tears filled his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. You were always alone. Mira looked at him. Her expression didn't change, but her shadow moved. On its own. It rose behind her like wings. The memory lock shook. Then shattered into ash. Up in orbit, every lock turned red. Alarms screamed inside the Vorth ship. Pull back. She's reading us. She's inside the system. Too late. The ship's memory banks fried. Every crew member forgot who they were. They forgot why they came. They forgot how to fly. The ship floated away, quiet and lost. Inside the Earth cave, the console changed. It now showed the Zikran memory core. Thousands of lines of code. Mira stared at it. Her eyes began to glow. The console asked, do you wish to restore or remove? She said nothing. Then the boy reached out and touched her hand. He whispered, they didn't learn, but I will. Mira looked at him. Then back at the screen. She touched a single word. Pause. And across the galaxy, time stopped. Ships paused mid-jump. Suns froze in mid-flare. Planets halted their rotation. For 3 seconds, nothing moved. Then everything started again. But now, something was different. The Zykrans looked at their records. And saw a new page. A message written in all their languages. You were warned. She waited. You forgot her pain. Now you forget yourselves. One admiral opened his old family file. It was gone. His name was gone. Only a single word remained. Erased. Back in the cave, the boy looked at Mira. Are you going to take everything? She shook her head softly. I only take what was never meant to be kept. He asked again, will I forget you? Mira looked at him. Her voice was soft. Only if you stop listening. And far away, deep in the void between galaxies, a creature older than time stirred. It had no shape, only thought. It spoke no language, but its mind trembled. It remembered Mira. And it hid. Because in the beginning there was balance, and she was part of it. But now, she had chosen to feel. And that made her even more dangerous. Before the Zykran Empire rose, the galaxy belonged to the gods. They were not like the myths told on Earth. They were real. Living beings of energy and thought. They could burn moons, shift oceans, speak in thunder, and dream. And for a long time, they ruled. But one day, they began to disappear. No war, no disease, they just left. And no one ever knew why. Until now, on a dying planet deep in the outer edge, the last hiding, God Kawa the Storm-Binder awoke. He had hidden inside the core of a frozen world for centuries. He had buried his name, his power, and his past. But now, he felt her again. He opened his 4 glowing eyes and whispered one word, Mira. In the capital of the Zycran Empire, a secret council met. They had found a forgotten relic, the Voice Stone, an object that once belonged to the gods. It spoke only when danger returned, and now it screamed, not loud, not sharp, but deep, like the echo of a dying star. The council was silent. One member whispered, "She is not just power, she is memory." Another said, "She remembers what we tried to erase." But no one dared speak her name, not after what happened to the Gorgon core, to the Vorth, to their memory core. Meanwhile on Earth, Mira walked with the boy through a burned forest. He held a broken branch like a sword. She smiled faintly. But far above, the skies began to change. A message traveled through space. Nada como space. Skies. A message traveled through Spain. SIGN, a pulse. Every creature with a soul felt it. A call, a warning. From the old gods. It said, "She is awake. The silence has ended. She remembers us. And we remember why we ran." In a hidden archive beneath a dead sun, ancient data played for the first time in 10,000 years. An old recording, flickering, faded. The voice was clear. A god named Ilthera. The Shaper spoke. "We once called her the Child of Stillness. She never raised her hand, never gave orders, but we felt her in every breath of space. We made the stars, but she could end them. And worst of all, she never knew how." The gods had not fled the Zycrans. They had run from her, long before humans rose on Earth. Mira had existed, alone, silent, watching. The gods feared her, because she did not need to fight. Reality changed when she wished, and once, just once, she cried, and 3 star systems ceased to exist. They called it the soft ending. No explosion, no war, just fading. And they knew. She was not God. She was something older, something the universe made by mistake, or maybe on purpose. Back on Earth, the boy asked, "Where did the others go?" Mira looked at the sky. "They forgot," she said softly. "Forgot." "What?" Mira replied. "That power without care breaks everything." In a nearby system, a god who once wore a crown of fire sent out a message. "We gave power to worlds, but she gives meaning. That is why we ran, and now she walks again." Back in Zycran space, panic spread. Ships stopped moving. Armies refused to deploy. Even warlords dropped their weapons, because the gods, their old enemies, were returning, but not to fight. To warn them. One god arrived at the Empire's edge. His name was Erelon the Breathless. He floated before a fleet of 40 Zycran dreadnoughts. He didn't attack. He only said one sentence. "We feared her. You mocked her. Now she remembers." Then he vanished. The dreadnoughts returned to base, silent, shaking. Their crews refused to speak. Some even broke their own radios. They did not want to hear her name. And yet, Mira did nothing. No ships left Earth. No energy blasts. No waves of force. No declarations. She just stayed, with the boy, teaching him how to plant a seed. But as they planted that seed, thousands of species across galaxies felt a pull. They called it the weight. Not gravity, not fear. Something deeper. Like the universe was holding its breath. The boy asked Mira, "Are they afraid of you?" Mira looked down. "They're afraid of what I might do." He thought for a moment. "Will you do it?" She didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "Would you stop the sky from falling if you could?" He nodded quickly. She smiled. "Then you understand me." In the shadows of the Empire, some whispered plans. A final weapon, built from god tech and stolen time. They called it Project Reset. It would wipe Mira from existence by turning reality backward. One final hope. One desperate trick. But they didn't know. Time obeyed her. As they activated the device, the room filled with energy. The stars outside began to reverse. Voices echoed. Backward, the walls trembled. And then, silence. The machine stopped, and Mira stood in the center of the room, not a hologram. Not a vision. She had stepped into the moment. Time itself had invited her in. She looked around. Calm. The scientist fell to the ground. One shouted, "Please." "We didn't mean." But she raised one hand, not in anger. In understanding. And whispered, "You wanted control, but forgot kindness. So now you will learn stillness." The entire base froze in time. Not dead. Asleep. Just paused. Forever. Back on Earth, the seed they planted began to grow. A small green sprout. Alive. Unafraid. And in the void between galaxies, the gods met one last time. They did not plot. They did not scheme. They only said this: she has returned to walk. Not to rule, not to destroy, but to remind. And the galaxy must listen, or be forgotten. Time passed. Not quickly. Not slowly. Just quietly. Across the galaxy, people moved on. The Zycran Empire rebuilt their lost files. They renamed planets. They told stories of new heroes. They created a lie. They erased Earth from their maps. Banned her name. Destroyed every record of Mira. They didn't say she died. They simply said she never existed. And for most of the galaxy, that worked. They forgot her. But Myra didn't forget them. She remembered everything, not because she wanted to, but because the universe made her remember. On Earth, the boy had grown, not old, not yet, but no longer small. He asked her one morning, "Why don't you leave this planet?" Mira stood at the edge of a cliff, watching the stars. "They left," she said. "Who?" "The ones who promised to protect." She sat with him by the fire that night. The stars above didn't twinkle. They watched, like they feared blinking. The boy asked softly, "Did you love someone?" Mira's face didn't change, but her shadow grew darker. She whispered, "Once." In a forgotten vault deep in Zycran space, an AI historian found something strange. A memory file. Locked behind 12 broken firewalls, the file opened on its own. Inside, it was a name. Mira. And a question. What happens to pain when it's denied? Then, the eye shut down. Permanently. Back on Earth, Mira returned to a single place. A field of blackened flowers. Each flower was made of ash. They didn't burn. They had already burned long ago. The boy followed her. Quiet, curious, he asked, "What is this place?" She answered, "Where I died," and kept walking. The boy sat beside her. "You're not angry," he said. She shook her head. "I was." "Not anymore?" She looked at the sky. "There's no one left to be angry at, only those who forgot." But forgetting comes with a price. In the Zycran capital, the emperor walked through his palace, but he no longer recognized the paintings. He no longer remembered his wife's name, or why the throne room had 7 chairs, when only one was ever filled. Memory was vanishing, not because of attack, but because of neglect. On a mining world, a worker saw something strange. A shadow standing beside a dead tree. It looked like a woman. When he blinked, it was gone. But his daughter suddenly remembered. Her dead mother's voice again, not in fear. In peace. Mira wasn't erasing anymore. She was returning memories, but only the painful ones. Only the ones they deserved to carry. Zycrans didn't know how to stop it, because they didn't understand it. No weapons were fired. No machines were broken, but truth began creeping back in. One soldier, after dreaming of a lost village, dropped his rifle. Another wrote a letter to a planet he helped destroy. A scientist threw herself into the stars, after remembering her crimes. And all across the galaxy, eyes open. The boy on Earth saw it. He saw Mira walk through old cities. He saw her pass broken statues. Every time she touched one, it crumbled, not from hate, from release. He asked, "Do you forgive them?" Mira looked at him. "I never hated. Them. Then why did they suffer? She paused. They ran from truth. But truth doesn't forget. In the ruins of a crashed Zycran ship, a lone soldier awoke after years in stasis. He staggered out, weak and blind. He saw her walking toward him. He screamed, "Please. I was just following orders." She stopped beside him and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. He wept. Then smiled. Then turned to light, not destroyed. Freed. In the galactic center, a strange storm formed, not made of clouds or gas, made of memory. All forgotten names, all erased histories, all broken truth swirling back. One voice echoed through the storm. "You left her behind. Now she brings herself back." The Empire could not stop it. They tried. They launched memory blockers. They fired anti-thought pulses. They even tried to erase her again. But it didn't matter. Because forgetting isn't victory. It's surrender. And Mira had never surrendered. One night, as comets passed overhead, the boy looked at her and said, "I saw my parents. In a dream. You let me, didn't you?" She nodded once. "Will I forget you one day?" He asked. Mira looked into his eyes and softly said, "Only if you lie to yourself." Back in deep space, the old gods stood on the edge of reality. Watching. One of them, the smallest, whispered, "We should have stayed." Another replied, "She never wanted revenge. She wanted to be remembered, and we forgot." In the Zycran Military Academy, all history books turned blank. Except one line. There once was a woman, and she remembered everything. And far away, under a starless sky, Mira stood alone. The boy, now older, gone to build his own world. She stood where her kind had once fallen, and she whispered to no one, "You feared me. You tried to forget, but I was never your enemy. I was your chance to be better." The galaxy held its breath. Stars dimmed. Planets stopped spinning. Even the Zycran Empire, once mighty and proud, stood still, because this was the moment they had feared. Mira stood alone on Earth's highest mountain. Her eyes looked at the sky. The boy was gone now, grown and gone, to his own path. But she was still here, still remembering, far away. Across light years, the gods watched. The ancient ones, the lost ones, the ones who once feared her. One god, the oldest, spoke to the others. "She came to teach us all," he said. "Not with fire. Not with war, but with memory." Back on Earth, the sky cracked. Not with lightning, but with light. A cascade of memories poured from the heavens. Across the galaxy, people saw flashes, brief but clear. They saw the past, their past, the moments they had forgotten, the pain they had hidden, the love they had lost. And for the first time in centuries, they felt. In the Zycran capital, the Emperor fell to his knees. He saw his father's face, his mother's smile, the friends he had betrayed. Tears ran down his cheeks. In a small village, a child looked at the stars. He saw a woman standing there, watching. She smiled. Mira closed her eyes and remembered. She remembered the day she was born. Not on Earth. Not in any place the galaxy knew, but somewhere between time and space. She was the last of a race forgotten, a race who understood balance. Not power. Not violence, but truth. She remembered her first breath, the silence she carried, the loneliness she felt. And then the boy came. He was the first to see her. To trust her. To believe she was not a weapon. Together, they walked the long road. Through death, through silence, through darkness. Now, she was ready to give the galaxy one last gift. The memories poured from the sky, not as punishment, not as revenge, but as a chance. To heal, to forgive, to remember. Across the stars, old wounds began to close. Planets healed. Families reunited. Enemies embraced. The gods watched quietly, their power fading, because this was not their time. Mira whispered to the wind, "I am not your enemy." And in the silence, the galaxy heard, The Zycran Empire fell, not in war, not in fire, but in memory. The last emperor smiled. He stood and said, "Maybe this was always the way." On Earth, Mira sat. The mountain behind her, the stars above, and a new dawn. She was no god. No monster. No weapon. She was a memory the galaxy could no longer forget. The end.